Welcome to the I Didn't Know What the Fuck I Was Doing podcast.
We're your hosts, Teresa
and David.
This is the podcast with two ADHD entrepreneurs who jumped into uncertain territory
and made lots of unpleasant mistakes along the way.
We were able to figure out what we're actually passionate about.
And we are here to help you do the same.
Each week, we will release 2 episodes discussing how we navigate our businesses, relationships, and health,
as well as interview excellent guests who share their own personal IDK WTF stories.
Listen today so you can hear some relatable content
as we normalize uncertainty in business and in life.
Because it's important to admit that no one really knows
what the fuck they're doing. Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back.
This is part 2
of our very first episode.
Episode 1, part 2.
Season 2.
Season 2.
But our first episode.
IDK
with Teresa.
WTF.
Yeah.
Podcast. Teresa Merrick.
David B.
And here we are.
Here we are. Welcome back.
Right. Welcome back. So,
yeah, so
episode 1, we talked about
who the fuck we are.
And why this podcast is.
Yeah. A little bio, a little info about what's going on with the podcast and us.
Yeah.
So you can get to know us. That's really what our goal of like the first couple podcasts are, is like for you to get a little more info on who we are.
Yeah. So
because yeah, we actually talk about besties in one of our episodes that we recorded too. So
we do talk about friends.
We talk about friends. So that'll be an episode that's going to come up too.
Coming up in the future here.
Mm-hmm. So let's dive in. David, why are you here?
Why am I here? Like in the grand scheme of the universe, or?
Well, that might be harder to explain on our podcast why you exist. But why the fuck are you here on this podcast?
Oh, okay.
What brought you to this point? And let's like dive in a little. Like I want to hear a little bit about like your business, what you're doing now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about it kind of a little bit in the last one. So I started in retail, and I think what I didn't say is I just ended up getting so frustrated in the retail world because I was so stuck. And I was just doing the same stuff over and over. I was getting in trouble for the same things. I was getting passed over for promotions that one day I just kind of like rage quit. Like I was so mad. I was so fed up. One of my district managers came in and she told me I was just doing everything wrong. And I actually had like 3 weeks of vacation time saved up. And they had just changed the policy. You could bank it. You could bank up to 2 weeks per year. And then they just changed it like a few months prior and said you're going to lose it at the end of the year if you don't take it. So frustrating. They were cutting our promotions and doing just all this stuff. And
great. So, I'm going to take my vacation right now.
Exactly.
And then I'm not coming back.
And so basically it was, if you quit, you get your vacation paid out because it's time owed to you. Mm. And so she was just chewing me out about this inventory thing. And I was like, you know what? I'm not coming to inventory. I quit. And so I got my vacation payout, plus like some other bonuses and some things. So it kept me going for a little while. I had no idea what I was going to do.
That's scary. It's a scary place to be, but it's also like rage quitting. I mean,
don't do it. It's not worth it.
No, probably not. But like, also, where would you be if you had not rage quit?
Also that.
Just saying. So then after you rage quit is when Colorado Mastermind was born?
Well, I had Colorado Mastermind for a little while.
Okay.
Right. And so, but it was just a little group of a few of us that would meet every once in a while. And so I decided to dive into that a lot deeper. And then that grew. And at the suggestion of one of the members in the group, they were like, hey, this is nice, but you should probably put like a website together and like turn this into a business. Mm-hmm. And the core of it, I always wanted to keep free because I think I'm a big fan of information should be free, which is why I think podcasting is so cool, because we're just like putting all this good information out into the world.
Pick your favorite place to listen and hit play.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're going to find podcasts on anything
now,
right?
We have so much access. I mean, like I love YouTube videos for like, if I need to do something around my house and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, like, or something on my laptop. Yeah. I just YouTube it.
Yeah.
And there is someone who has made a video who will help me.
For like anything.
For anything. And it's free. It's free.
It's crazy.
Great.
And so I put a few things together and we'd been doing it for a while. I had a couple small clients here and there, but what was crazy, what actually ended up happening was because I had put this website together, my mastermind's name was Colorado Mastermind because I'm so witty with names. So One thing that I always say, like, luck is where opportunity and preparation come together. A lot of people say, hey, I just got lucky. But a lot of time, luck is never just luck. Like,
No.
you have to be prepared to accept it, and you have to be in the place where the opportunity is, right? So I put this website together. Ended up getting an email from the team from Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins, where they were putting together something. They had just purchased something called mastermind.com.
It's a pretty cool email to get
Right.
from those people.
And at first I thought it was spam, right? So I just almost didn't even answer it. So they had just bought mastermind.com, and they're like, hey, we're putting together the largest mastermind community in the world. And this was a handful of years ago. They were like, would you like to be a part of it? I was like, yes, let's do that. And so we put this team together, had this really big event, and it ended up being the largest product launch in the history of the internet.
That's neat that you were there and ready for that.
So they worked for a few years, and they're like, how do we create the largest mastermind community and have the largest, back then it was called the Knowledge Broker Blueprint.
Okay.
It was, how do we teach more people to put more communities together to share information?
Yeah.
And so they got Tony Robbins on board at that point. This was his first new content that he had produced in over a decade. So he came on.
Yeah, because he didn't need any of this.
He doesn't need to work another day in his life, you know?
No, he does it because he loves it.
Exactly. So they got the best motivator on board, the best marketer on board, and the best systems guy.
They put them together.
Yeah. And with that, we created the largest product launch, teaching people how to build a community around the collaboration of knowledge. And it was awesome. It was so much fun. And what's neat, because I had been running masterminds for a handful of years at this point.
Yeah.
And learning from the best affirmed a lot of the stuff I had to like bootstrap and figure out together.
So it's like all the stuff you didn't know what you were doing, and then you realize that, hey, like I actually was doing something right on my own, throwing stuff together.
Exactly.
It's like you got confirmation that, hey, I did that right, and then a boost of like this new information. Well,
yeah, and everything.
A big boost.
The 10x of what's way better. But it was really nice. I was like, oh yeah, I figured all this stuff out. I had like crummy Word documents put together. They had like these beautiful documents, but it was the same.
They had the finances to back them creating that stuff. Where when you're like creating it, and you're like, it's a Word document. Well, that's how it started for them too. I'm certain.
Yeah, totally.
I'm certain it did.
And it's amazing too, because the knowledge that they're sharing at this point, it was $20,000 knowledge 10 years ago. Like you would have to pay 20 grand to be in a room with the people teaching you this stuff, when the product they had then was $2,000.
Yeah.
And so this $2,000 product was $20,000 to $100,000 a decade ago. It was like secret backroom, like.
Yeah, people didn't share it. Only like the wealthiest people that were belonging to these crazy high level masterminds were talking about. But it's like, I think when people realize that wealth is not finite.
Exactly.
Like, if I make more money and do more successful, that does not impact you at all and your ability to be successful and make money. And that's honestly, like, I think very much there's like a scarcity mindset in our society.
A lot of it. And what's being shown, right, is actually the more we give away, the more we do for free, the more value we provide to other people up front, the more money we actually make.
The more money we make, and the more money everybody else will actually make too.
Exactly.
Which is badass. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's hard when you first hear that concept, if you're one of those people who is scarcity mindset, which I totally was. So like, you know, I don't come from like a super wealthy family or something. And so then there's this lack mentality that happens. And so it's very interesting when you get to learn that you're like,
yeah.
No, this is like it's everybody's game. And we're all playing, but we're not playing against each other. Like we can be I can be for you, and it has nothing to do with my own success. I can just be for you because you're amazing and I want to support you.
Yeah.
And you and everybody.
And I think that's the big shift that I think it started small scale, but now I think it's occurring bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Is that we want to be here for each other. We want to give to each other. We want to provide value to each other.
Totally.
And we're not in competition. So I got some really high level training with those guys over the last I think 4 years we've been in this cool strategic partnership where we get to pop in once or twice a year and do some cool stuff.
Yeah.
And actually, since COVID has happened, everything is different than it was when we did that first launch.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. The world is different.
The world's gone digital. Everyone's so much more aware of being able to take their knowledge and turn it into products, or that we just need to do something other than have a normal job.
Right.
It's absolutely crazy. And so what's coming is going to be the next biggest event in the history of events. So it'll be here the next couple months or so.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
You're going to tell us more about it later?
Later.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to say anything yet.
Okay.
It's a secret.
I'll make sure he tells us when he can.
Yeah.
Because I want to know what the heck he's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you doing these days? How did you get here, Teresa?
How did I get here?
Okay.
Yeah. Corporate life was burnout. I could just see everybody's stress levels and was like, I don't like that. And network marketing was very glamorous and beautiful at that time because I could work for myself. I could replace my income in the corporate world.
I will say, like, that is the one cool thing about network marketing when you first start out. It is so much fun, and it's so...
It is, because the community.
Yeah.
It's this, like, anyone who's ever been in a network marketing company, like, you're excited. When you get started, when you choose to say, yes, I want to be a consultant, or whatever you call yourself in that company, it's exciting. The people who are inviting you into the company are excited for you. Yeah. There's a level of like mentorship.
Yes.
I mean, I know some companies don't do that. Like, those are the bad companies, guys. Right. If you get into network marketing and they're like, here's your kit, good luck. Like, that's not that's there. I know there's some companies like that. Like, no, boo. Those are bad companies. The ones that fold you in and say, how can I help you? And they really do strive to help you be the best you can be. It's a great feeling to have that level of support. Because in corporate America, I don't know how it works. Right. I'm not sure if any of you know, but that's not how it works in corporate America. Yeah. So, yeah, I threw myself into that. I was able to be home with my babies. Because after I had my second one, it was like, what am I going to bring home? $500 a month or something after daycare costs. When we looked at our pay and the cost of daycare and all the things that it costs to go to and from work with gas and with lunches and with any of those expenses plus time. Right. And then it's like, so I'm not spending any time with my kids and I'm making like $500. It was like, that is not worth my time.
And they're being raised in daycare.
And they're being raised by people that I don't know, which also freaked me out. So in my mind, something had to change. And I had been introduced to this company and was excited about it. So it was like, timing. And then throughout the course of that decade, doing network marketing all the time, I was introduced to this intensive program, 1 weekend, super intense 3 days. You followed it up with a second weekend, super intense 3 days. And then you did another program that was like a several month program. And during that, you got your own coach. Okay. And so it was a cool relationship. I loved doing it. And my coach was a badass because when she didn't know what to do, she said, I want to make sure this is the best for you. So I'm going to have the leader of this program hook up with you. Because I was taking on this program. I was like applying all the stuff they wanted us to learn to my life.
And you're like, hey, I did this and now what do I do? And
now it's like a car crash is happening and there's a fire burning and I'm crying. And Help me.
She's like, I'm not qualified. And let me get you someone that is.
Yeah, she gave me what she could and then said, cool. I'm going to make this happen. And I like, thank you, Jean Ann. She probably will never listen to this, but thank you, because she was amazing. And at the end of that program, the leader who had worked with me during that time was like, you'd be a great coach. Okay. And I was like, what? Because I felt like I failed. And she was like, no, you'd be an amazing coach. She goes, okay, so you didn't do X, Y, and Z. She goes, but you applied all this stuff to your life, which is actually the goal of this course. We just give you something else to focus on so you can like learn the principles we're teaching. And I decided to try out coaching. Okay. I got to work with her and be a coach. So I was being coached by higher level coaches, but I got to coach other people. Yeah. And so I got to see.
So you're learning and doing at the same time, which is kind of the best way to do it.
Really. Yeah. And it was their program and I got so much out of their programs. But it was like, I want to coach for myself. I don't necessarily want to coach this program forever. And I realized how much knowledge I had because of honestly, my time in network marketing, most network marketing companies are like personal growth, personal growth, personal growth.
Absolutely.
They bring in speakers. I mean, I've gotten to see some really cool speakers live in person, like at conferences. I've gotten a lot of knowledge imparted on me, book clubs where we're reading to grow ourselves.
Network marketing has such a bad rap from a lot of people who have never been a part of it.
From some people who have been a part of it, have had a bad experience, which is fair.
But it's the concept of it is amazing because number one, it teaches entrepreneurial skills. Number two, that's where I also got introduced to personal development. I didn't make any money when I worked in network marketing, but it absolutely changed my life because this was back in like 2004. And I was like, wait, you mean I can like become a better person if I try?
If I read some books and apply some basic principles to my life.
Yeah. And the fact that it's such ingrained into the culture is awesome. And it leads to that next level like you went through.
I absolutely would not be, I have no idea where I would be, but I am so grateful for agreeing to be part of a network marketing company.
And you made money.
I did.
Win-win.
Win-win. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's just when I realized how much I had a knowledge base to coach people. And it's not just like me blowing smoke. Like I actually have tools and tricks and structures to put in place for your life that make life work. How do I know? Because mine would not look like it looks right now without the amount of time I've spent learning what I've spent learning.
You've done it for yourself. You've done it for their clients. You've done it for your own clients.
Yep.
So I think that's really cool.
It's very rewarding. It's very, very rewarding. And for me, having my ADHD dopamine seeking self, which we're going to talk about really soon too, guys. So we both have ADHD. If I wasn't being rewarded regularly, like I know if I'm having a terrible day and I'm like, all right, got to reset. I have a client. I'm able to reset, have my client, and my day is better after.
Yeah.
Because me showing up for them allows me to like step into my most favorite self that I get to be. Like people call it their highest self. Well, like you're not lower when you're walking around, guys. Like that's my thing. Highest selves don't exist. Like our favorite selves do though. Okay. When do you feel your best? And that's when I'm coaching or when I'm helping other people live their best lives.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that I've shared all that, I think it's time for us to take a little break.
Short little breaky break.
Yes. It's short, it's sweet, and we'll be right back.
All right. See you soon.
Bye.
This is a podcast for anyone looking to improve their personal, professional, or family life.
We craft these episodes so you can learn from or relate to our experiences and opinions.
And we'd love to hear more about you. So if you're interested in connecting with us further,
as well as other like-minded individuals,
we recommend checking out our creatively named Facebook group, Colorado Entrepreneurs.
You don't have to be from Colorado or be an entrepreneur to join, but it doesn't hurt.
Just go to facebook.com/groups/Colorado Biz, that's BIZ, and send us a join request.
Or check the link in the description and show notes below.
Thanks for listening, and now back to the show.
Come back, everybody.
Welcome back.
Yeah, part two of episode 1 of season 2 of the I Didn't Know What the Fuck I Was Doing podcast.
That was a little bit of a mouthful.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I got it right.
You did. I was listening. I was waiting. I was like, is he going to get it all?
Yeah.
I mean, thanks for listening, guys.
And
entertainment.
So in the first part of part 1, we talked about why we are here.
Right.
And kind of our journey to get to where we are today.
Yeah. And if you're watching, I just want to say, definitely we had a wardrobe change. It's a totally different day. Because we went on a tangent that actually is probably going to be a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. And then we got into a very heated debate.
I don't even think it was heated so much as we just both were. Yeah, it was passionate. Because I don't think we were angry. We were just both were like, no, this is how we feel. So anyway, to round out our first episode, I want to know, what is your biggest IDK WTF story?
What is my biggest IDK WTF?
Yeah.
Like my biggest mistake.
Like, yeah, what do you think your biggest mistake, or like your biggest, like, I really didn't know what I was doing, maybe / regret even, like where you're like, oh, I wish I would have done things differently.
Yeah. And so that's actually something that we like to ask all of our guests, which we'll see. coming up. And I thought it'd be a good thing to talk about because the number one answer that I'll hear is that every mistake always leads to something else. So it's like when we're in it, we always think like, man, this is the worst. This is like, I'm failing. This is a huge mistake and I'm miserable.
Feels like crap.
Yeah. But then when looking back on it in hindsight, we see that it had to happen because it led to something else that was even better.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the number one thing that I hear from different guests is that I haven't really made any huge like failures because they all were learning lessons, right?
Right.
But what I will say, I think the number one thing that I do consider failure, especially in my own life, is when I've had an idea or I've had like a passion or something that I wanted to do, and then I just didn't do it. So like
inaction
is inaction. Yeah. And so for example, back in like 2006, 2007, this is when I was in the financial services network marketing, and like I think MySpace was still a thing, right? So,
Love MySpace.
Right? So there was no...
Seriously, though, I need more social media where my page has a theme, like a song that I picked. My current favorite song. I loved that function about MySpace.
It's Tumblr, you know. Have you seen Tumblr?
I'm not a Tumblr person.
I'm not either. I tried it for a while, but MySpace is Tumblr now. Or Tumblr is...
Well, I'm not going to Tumblr. I already have too many social medias that I can't keep track of.
I actually don't know if it's still relevant.
I don't know. I have no idea. So you were in
back
your
in the financial services industry.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like email marketing was barely a thing. Like people were still trying to figure out like what was going on with the internet, right?
Right.
I created like 101 tips and tricks of how to make money, how to save money, and how to stay like prepared.
Right.
Yeah. Created all of this, put all this work into it. I showed it to my upline and he was like, well, that's cool. But remember, because this is back, no one was doing this kind of thing.
Right.
So he wasn't like, this is such great work. Good job, David. He was just like, well, that's different. I was like, yeah.
You spent some time on that. Thumbs up.
Yeah. And I never did anything with it. Right? Nothing. So just stayed in my computer draft box forever.
To live there.
To forever. Yeah. Until now. So I'm going to make a TikTok thing with it, actually.
Do it.
Going to.
I want to watch all your financial tips.
Yeah. I have a whole...
I love financial tips, especially ones that I can easily implement.
They are very easy.
Good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So other examples of like things that I just knew were going to be awesome was like Netflix. Again, I remember when it was like, you know, Blockbuster was still the main thing. And I was like, this Netflix thing is amazing.
No late fees.
No late fees. I don't have to go anywhere. I get these discs just in the mail.
Order it.
Yeah.
Comes to you.
Yes, that's so cool, right? Great.
I just laugh because like digital now. It's crazy how far we've come. But like, yeah, where you just get your DVDs in the mail.
Yeah, it was so cool. I was actually mad because I went back. I think you can do it again. Like I think they have the DVD thing again. But I went back and they had stopped it for a long time because like the selection of what you can see digitally is so limited because there's only so much server space.
Right, and they have to push stuff off the server so they can put new movies and shows and stuff on.
Yeah, but the DVDs, you could get like anything. Had I invested in Netflix when I was like, this is the best thing ever, that's taken off. Bitcoin, right? And so it's another example. It's like I wanted to invest in Bitcoin when it was like $400. And that's when it had like skyrocketed and taken off. And so I was like trying to research on how to do that. And then it went from 400 to like 999. And I was talking to my buddy and he's like, and then it passed 1,000. And he's like, well, it's at 1,000. It will never, ever go higher than 1,000. If you invest in Bitcoin now, you're wasting your money.
He's like, you missed out.
Yeah. And I was like, you're probably right. And I didn't. And then it went up to about 2,000 and I did invest then, which was great. But I could have,
if you would have invested when it was $400, then now it would have been even better.
But it's listening to people who aren't experts give me advice that's bad advice.
Seriously.
And that not taking an action that I want to take. To me, that's the biggest regret and the failures that I've made are the things that I haven't done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So
that makes sense. Well, and it's also, I never thought about that, but during my network marketing career, that was actually something that was said was like, if you're talking to someone and they're naysaying you, unless they have literally been successful at what you're trying to do specifically, like you don't need to take their advice. Like it doesn't matter if they're your best friend or your mom or your, someone that you trust and know and who loves you, has the best intentions for you. They're like, you shouldn't take their advice unless they have succeeded at what you are trying to do.
Exactly.
Because they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't know. They're only going off their feelings or their random thoughts. And right, because your friend that you talked to probably wasn't some like high level knowledgeable person about.
We both had we were both kind of researching it, and he was like, "No, it's never gonna go." No, maybe he's right. It's like, yeah, it's ridiculous. You
gotta go with your gut sometimes.
So, what about yourself? So what's your greatest feeling of failure or your greatest IDK WTF story or your greatest regrets?
Yeah.
Regrets.
Or a big fat tattoo of no regrets. Regrets. Something like that. Oh, I've seen a lot of them. Those tattoos are crazy. So after becoming a mom, that became my whole world. And not that it shouldn't, not that my kids shouldn't become a big, huge part of my world, especially a baby. They need a lot of your time and energy.
They're kind of important.
Yeah. I still love them to pieces, but I lost myself in being a mom. It was like the artist formerly known as Teresa.
Okay.
Where's Teresa?
So your identity became wrapped up in
mom and wife, and that was me. And instead of being if someone were to ask me for my bio, it wasn't oh yeah, I love novels and crafting and personal development and, whatever else I find interesting. It was oh yeah, I'm a mom and I've been married for this many years and whatever. Okay. And it's and still sometimes I notice myself starting with those things and I'm no, if someone's asking about me, that is part of who I am. It's a big part of my identity. I love my family and I lost myself in that world. And it was everyone else came before me, kids before me, husband before me. And I think that was rough. That was a mistake.
Okay.
To not prioritize my own wants and needs as well.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean that I'm not going to leave my baby at home and be oh, well, that's okay. They're in their crib. They can just stay there for 12 hours by themselves. They're not a dog. They need me there. They need me to be attentive to their needs. And I'm important too.
Was there a point that you noticed that you were more wrapped up in the mom wife identity than the Teresa identity?
It actually was a really rough year in my marriage. And I'm not going to dive too much into it. It's very personal. But Dan and I had a really rough year and probably several months. One summer was just really hard, but it really caused me to look at myself in a new way. And I realized that I was busy trying to be a people pleaser. I was trying to make Dan happy and I was trying to be the best mom and I was trying to let the whole world know that I was this great wife and mom. And Dan didn't say this, so I'm not putting words in his mouth for sure.
Okay.
But I'm saying that I feel I probably wasn't the person that he fell in love with and got married to.
Okay.
Because I had kind of lost me.
Right.
It's hard because I was me and I wasn't me. I think there was just a level of that independent, strong-willed, I'm going to do what I want person who I am.
Right.
Was gone.
Okay.
She was MIA.
Yeah.
And so I think that contributed to that rough season in our relationship. And that was really a wake-up call for me. It's wait a minute, who am I? And at that point, it was I think I got more and more wrapped up in the mom life as I had my baby. Then I had another baby. So then I had a small child and a baby. And then when Xander was 5.5, it's I had a 2-year-old and I had an infant. And they're time consuming. That is the most time consuming time in a parent. And I really I feel as teenagers, now I feel they need me in a whole different way, but it's right now we're recording this podcast and they can be home taking care of themselves for a few hours. It's not a big deal.
Right.
And when they're that age, they need an adult all the time, and it's on. I mean, I'm still on all the time, and there's 3 of them, and they were all very little.
Yeah.
And I think then it was like, oh, I have to prioritize time for myself. I need to reprioritize time for my marriage that is not just like about the kids. I love this too, like for couples or for like anytime people feel like they aren't sure what to talk about. Dan found this list online of like, it was like new dating questions, but it slowly got deeper and deeper. Oh, yeah. We had some of the coolest conversations. Like, I mean, some of them are like lighthearted, silly, like what superhero power would you have? Not something serious. But then there would be conversations. We'd have a question that was random like that, but then it would cause us to go onto a different track and get into like these really deep, interesting conversations where we talk about things newly.
Yeah.
And I think that was great. So anyway, I think that was definitely the hardest time for me. And I wish I would have recognized sooner. I think I'm a better mom. I'm a better wife. I'm a better friend. I'm a better human being when I'm not only focused on my role as like mom and wife.
Right. When you're focused on yourself as well and your own needs and meeting your own needs so that you can become a stronger, better person for other people.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because at that time I had my network marketing business too. And I was successful at it. It's just, I think in my personal life, there was something missing. And I think that probably contributed to some of the things that I probably felt was missing in my business life too.
Absolutely. It's a great message to share.
A great message to share.
Yeah. Well, so this is the first time many of our listeners have listened to us.
Well, and it's definitely the first time that they've listened to you and I.
Yes, exactly.
Because if they were a fan of the IDK WTF podcast, it was Anastasia. And those episodes honestly are awesome, guys. Like there's some really great content. So check them out. You just won't have me. You'll have Anastasia.
Okay. But we have
and
a
David.
Bunch of new ones.
Yes.
That we get to see. So
totally.
Very excited.
Oh, yeah. Like it's awesome. I'm super honored and like excited to be part of this podcast going forward and excited about all the fun topics we're going to talk about and all our guests we have coming.
Yes.
There's going to be some fun stuff, guys. So,
well, what is like the closing words of wisdom? What is the message that you would like to say to our dozens of glorious fans out there?
Our dozens, hundreds, thousands, millions, or like 12.
Our tens of fans.
Our tens of fans. I want to say that you should be yourself. Be yourself, figure out what makes you happy and do it. Make it your job, make it your part of your daily life, make it something you incorporate into your world, no matter what it is. Because whatever it is, maybe if you love snowboarding, that's not reasonable to say, I'm going to go be a professional snowboarder, but it's like carve out time, buy a season pass and like go. And if there's something that you think will light you up that you haven't tried yet, go try it. Take a chance, put yourself out there. You're going to suck when you start, probably, because you won't know what the fuck you're doing. And that would be my message, is like put yourself out there and find what lights you up and then incorporate it.
And then do it. And I think that's like the biggest key for me is to, even if something is uncomfortable or there's something that you don't know how to do well yet. Right. Just keep doing it. And it's
keep going. So if you suck the first time, don't just give up because you're like, I suck at this.
Exactly. And especially if it's something you enjoy, right?
Yeah.
Just do it to do it and see what happens. And then see what happens, because maybe you will get good at it, right? Maybe you will learn something, or maybe it's going to lead you to that next thing.
Right. If you enjoy the process, if you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, I hate this product, or maybe I don't love the process yet, but like, I actually really want to keep going, but I suck, but like.
Right. And it's just because you never know.
Yeah.
Right? And you never know what it's going to lead to. And I see it so often where people, they start something, they're passionate about it, they love it, but they don't get that immediate instant result that they're expecting.
Yeah.
Or they never get the result they're expecting. Mm-hmm. But something else could come out of it, but they quit instead.
Right.
And that to me is just heartbreaking. And that's like, I think, again, the moral of this podcast is just, it's okay if you don't know what you're doing. It's okay if you're not doing it great.
Right.
But it's not okay to, number one, suffer alone. And I'm not going to say it's not okay to quit, But
no, if something isn't serving you, you don't need to continue it. But if you've only done it once or twice, you probably don't know if it's serving you or not. I mean, it's great if you try something and you're like, no, this really isn't for me. That's okay. Like, there's things like that. If you're like, no, I've always wanted to try watercolors, and then you do a watercolor and you're like, this looks like a 2-year-old did it. Well, that's normal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. We want to leave you with the request to, hit the like button, hit the follow button, if we did it for you. And if we didn't, just know more content is coming.
You should probably try more episodes just in case.
Right.
The other one is going to be the one for you.
Right.
Just because you listened to one.
Just saying.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed, and we hope you come back and check us out. And please let us know if you have any requests. If there's anything, if you want to be a guest on our podcast, let us know.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. We'd love to have you. And we're here to serve.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you. And thank you guys. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. This has been the conclusion of our 2-part series.
And hey, congrats for making it here.
If you didn't happen to catch part 1, just go back to the previous episode to get the full story.
It was a really good one.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, please consider liking, subscribing, and or reviewing us on wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Also, if there's someone you know who clearly doesn't know what the fuck they're doing and would benefit from this topic, please hit that share button and send them this episode.
Let's normalize the feeling of uncertainty.
Asking for help and admitting that we don't know
what the fuck we're doing either.